In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
And welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And today we're going to have a little bit of a movie discussion, one of my favorite topics.
All right. What are we starting with?
Let me tell you how this idea came to me. I had a friend contact me the other day, and he was asking me about a movie and whether he should watch it or not, because a bunch of people had recommended it to him.
Okay.
And he was asking me because basically he didn't know anybody else that had kind of as much, not to toot my own horn, but as much knowledge of movies as what I did.
Oh, right.
Figured I had probably seen the film.
Okay.
And wanted to know my opinion of the movie.
Okay.
The movie in question was Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
Which he had never seen.
Okay.
Now, he's a fan of Stanley Kubrick and has watched other Stanley Kubrick movies.
Right.
But he had never seen Full Metal Jacket. He'd been was familiar with at least having seen parts of the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
The boot camp half of the movie.
Okay.
But again, hadn't seen the movie and was curious whether it was worth his time to watch or not, or whether what maybe little he'd seen on the internet was all he needed to know.
Yeah.
And it became a little bit of a discussion of, no, this is a movie you really should watch. Because of the fact that the first half of the movie is such a different movie than the second half of the movie. They're almost two separate films.
I was going to say, it does feel like two separate films.
But I think stylistically it was meant to be that way, because if you think about it, the boot camp it's got his standard, he's got that one dolly shot where he's moving in the middle of like a column of things or like a hallway of things.
Right.
That's a standard Kubrick kind of move.
Yeah.
It's got his framing that he likes to do in his various stuff, the pacing that he likes, which is a little bit more slow and deliberate pacing.
Right.
And the second half of the movie is almost chaos. But when you think about that, that might have been a lot of what the experience was like because it takes place during Vietnam, obviously.
Right.
That may have been what a lot of it was like. Was boot camp was fairly ordered and things happened at a certain time every day and it was the same stuff. And then you get out to Vietnam in the war zone and it's just chaos and uncontrollableness. And I think some of the movie, maybe the way he made the movie may have mirrored that. And if you think about it, if any director is going to make the look and the feel of the movie be a part of the message he's trying to get across in the movie, it's going to be Stanley Kubrick. I mean, he's so meticulous about the way that he makes
He
films.
really drives the point home a lot of the time.
Yeah, and he's
he
very
makes sure
very
you
deliberate.
know what he is going for. He likes his films to ask questions about the human condition in general.
And him asking about this inspired me to a couple of different topics that I'd like to have for topics. One of them I mentioned to you earlier was kind of maybe give people a primer of some really good movies to watch to get into understanding movies instead of just watching, whatever's the newest thing out or the biggest blockbuster movie, but like actual really good deep movies that have a message, that are trying to say something, that really show some good writing, good directing, good acting.
Yeah.
Another one would be, this is a war film, so another topic would be maybe to do a kind of a primer on some war films and discuss some of the different war films.
Okay.
Which I think we both need some more research on that, because I know a few, but I don't know how extensive your knowledge is of it. So that one we'll research, maybe hit on another day.
Yeah.
Maybe in September, October, that would be a good time frame. I'll have to do some like I say, some research, but this also inspired me to the idea of overrated movies, because part of the reason he was asking me about this film is he had heard so many things about it. I mean, Full Metal Jacket's considered one of the great classics, and he was wondering, is this thing overrated? Am I just hearing how great this movie is, and it's really not that good? It's really not worth my time to watch.
Right.
And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some movies that are really, I think, overrated films that people have sold too much.
All right.
Said too much about, and they're made to think of as such great movies.
Yeah.
And they maybe really aren't that great. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to ruffle some feathers with this one. Since I've already done some ruffling of feathers recently, I'm going to do a little bit more.
Okay.
So, do you want me to put you on the spot and see if you have a kind of an overrated film that you've always felt is just people talk how great this movie is, but it's not really that good?
Boy, let me think for a quick second. I'm sure that I could come up with one, but right now I'm drawing a blank. I'm really trying to.
Okay, I'll give you some of the ones.
You throw some at me and I can react pretty well. But I mean, I know of films that people have told me were great films. You need to see it, or something like that. I don't know.
Give me an example.
You know what? I find an example. Some of the best examples are like animated films, kids movies.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna
Frozen on. Are you gonna bring Frozen out?
No, I have actually not watched Frozen.
You haven't?
I have not seen Frozen. I don't have any kids, so I haven't seen Frozen. But like, I don't know. There were some movies that I seemed to like as a kid, and then I go back and I see them, and I'm like, they're okay, but they're not like. Yeah, and it could just be my perception of what it was when I was a kid.
There's that portion of it, but I'm not.
But there's stuff that I found was mediocre as a kid that just, I don't know, just seemed.
But these aren't movies
that
have like that have a cultural zeitgeist moment. Like here, the one I'm going to list, what I feel is one of the most overrated movies of all time. I cannot stand this movie.
Okay.
I call it. See if you can guess it when I give it its nickname. I call it the Cribs movie. Remember the MTV show Cribs? This is the Cribs movie. Because every time they were on Cribs, somebody had to show that they had a copy of this damn movie.
Scarface?
Yes.
Really? You think
overrated.
Scarface is
First
overrated?
of all, let me be out front. I'm not a huge Brian De Palma fan.
Okay.
I mean, just not. He's not a filmmaker that like I'm really that into. But that movie I just feel is so overrated. It's just another movie about some criminal. Overacted by Pacino.
Okay. I would say that makes a lot of sense because
is it a decent criminal movie?
Well, it's not about it being a good. The reason why I think that's the case, that it's particularly overrated, is I think that. Well, here's the deal. The movie itself is about excess.
Yeah.
That's literally the point.
Yeah.
This guy, and I think people miss that point very much so. This guy.
Well, what's his name? Tommy Wyoming or something? Come on, that was funny. Go on.
Damn it. So I actually, funny enough, and I've never seen it, but I do have a copy of the original Scarface with Cagney.
Oh, so okay, you have. It's the Howard Hughes one?
Yeah.
Now, see, that one is a whole different story.
Right.
Because he actually had mobsters on set.
Yeah.
Making sure that they told the story right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not the Brian De Palma.
No.
Al
Okay.
Pacino one.
But the thing about the Brian De Palma one is the story itself is about excess and how it's essentially dangerous and it'll lead you to get killed and messing with all these types of people. And it shows it. He's taking the excessive lifestyle, and De Palma wasn't glorifying it. He was making it very. I personally thought that he was making it. He was shoving this excessive lifestyle in the viewer's face.
Well, and this is why,
and I don't think it was being glorified. I think it was being like, this is, you're going to get a mansion, you're going to get, all these things.
But this is where the problem comes in.
There's no moral barometer that you really see with the film.
No, there isn't. And this is where I think the problem comes in, where I think it's so overrated in that it for a mid-level film, great. This is a movie that like literally has had a life of its own after being made.
Right.
And people don't see it as a cautionary tale about excess.
No.
They see it as, I'm going to be like this guy and have mountains of cocaine and mansions and Michelle Pfeiffer half dressed.
Yeah.
And my machine guns and whatnot. And they see him as some kind of a hero and think this is like the greatest movie ever. And it's really not that. I mean,
it got a huge resurgence, like what, 10 years ago? Something like that? 10, 15 years ago?
About 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's a middling level crime movie. But no, it's this huge, big deal.
Yeah, it's how big and people that got back into that film were into how big and glorious everything was, but it wasn't. It wasn't glorious. It looked pretty. It had a sheen over the entire viewpoint. Every single shot in the entire film had some excessive filter on it. That was the point.
Yeah, but
it was a
that's not,
rose-colored glasses type film.
But that's not what's become of it, and it's not like one of the 3 greatest crime movies ever, gangster movies ever.
Yeah.
Which, guess what? I'm going to bring in the other ones.
Oh, you're going to bring in Goodfellas, aren't you?
Yes.
You think Goodfellas is overdone?
I don't think it's that good a movie.
Or overdone, overrated.
I think it's a mid-level mobster movie.
What do you consider a high-level mobster movie then? We need a comparison.
I would say The Departed is much better. Now, admittedly, it came much later in his career,
right?
In Scorsese's career, but I'd say that's much better acted.
Well, I would personally think that.
And this caveat. I'm of the caveat here.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of The Departed.
Okay,
I don't like the movie, but I do think it's a better movie than Goodfellas by far.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I liked Goodfellas. I happen to like Goodfellas.
Well, I'm not saying it's necessarily about liking it. I just don't think it's put up there as like one of the best mobster movies of all time. I don't think it's really that good. And then I'm going to throw out the other one.
Okay.
Which is 3 movies, but is really 1 movie. There's been a lot of different movie trilogies.
Okay.
But I think this is one of the ones that is literally the most overrated movie trilogy ever.
Okay.
And it's following a theme.
Okay.
The Godfather movies.
I have only seen the first one. I really liked the first one.
But it's slow.
Yes, it is.
They're slow and plodding and boring. And the books were better.
Oh, I didn't read the books.
The Mario Puzo books are so much better.
Okay, so I do not have a history on reading the books for most of these films. I see them as a casual.
I understand that, but I'm just saying The Godfather is rated as this amazing movie,
right?
And it's just to me, it's just so overrated as a film. Now, saying those, I've hurt some people's feelings because some people love all these mobster movies.
Okay,
one of my favorite movies. In fact, it could almost be considered my favorite movie.
Okay.
I also think is highly overrated.
Okay.
I do believe that Star Wars: A New Hope is an overrated film.
Oh, just over. Well, yeah, it was. I can understand that.
So is it?
I'm not in disagreement with you in any of these points.
Is it a decent space opera? Yes. Did it start an entire world of movies and media and all kinds of wonderful things? Yes, it did. But looking back and really watching it, was it that good a movie? No, it was basically just a
Star Wars was a special effects ride.
Well, it was a movie version of Flash Gordon. That's all it really was.
But wasn't Flash Gordon a movie?
Yes, but okay, so it was a different version of Flash Gordon. It was the same thing. Okay, I will say this. Star Wars: A New Hope was better than the Flash Gordon movie that came out. However, it is worth arguing. I will be more than glad to have the argument about which had the better soundtrack.
Oh, dude.
Because
you got to give it to Flash Gordon.
Queen's soundtrack for Flash Gordon, I can't really down that too much. It's the best part of the whole movie.
Nothing against John Williams.
No, but Empire was better.
Man.
Empire was better. Empire finally had the Imperial March, so Empire was better.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's Queen. I mean, I can't really argue with that.
Yeah,
that's very difficult to.
Nobody's singing the main theme to Star Wars. They're singing the Flash Gordon theme instead.
Well, most people aren't singing the main theme to Star Wars. There are other losers like me. Interesting fun note. Max von Sydow was in Flash Gordon and was in Star Wars Episode 7. He had a very small part in the beginning of it. He's the bad guy. I believe he plays Ming the Merciless in Flash Gordon. That's
funny.
But he has a very, very, very small part in the middle of, or in the beginning of The Force Awakens Episode 7.
Okay.
Just fun little note. But anyway, I have a list here, though, of IMDb's 50 most overrated movies.
Oh, boy, this might get long. Are you going to kind of cherry pick a couple of them that are like controversial?
I'm going to go from the top, probably the top 10, okay?
Go to the top 10.
I'm doing the top 10. So number 1, Guess what IMDb says? Number 1?
Wait, no, go in ascending order. Start with 10. Start with 10. We're going to do top 10. IMDb's top 10 list.
It gives me number 10 to begin with, but I'll move on.
Yeah, go in ascending order.
Hold on, let's see if I can get there.
Descending order?
This thing's being stupid to me.
It's descending, 10 to 1, right? Descending order.
Something
not
like
ascending
that.
order.
It's not
ascending order is 1 to 5 or 1 to 1 down.
Okay,
no,
on.
Ascending order is going up. No, it's 10 to 1.
10.
Ascending order.
Okay, 10.
Okay, 10.
I actually don't disagree with this one, even though it's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
You know, you can tell an awful lot about a person by what they know Tim Curry from. The first movie memory they have of Tim Curry.
Whoa.
What's your first movie memory of Tim Curry?
As a child, it was Fern Gully.
Fern Gully?
Yeah.
God.
As a child, it was Fern Gully.
Yeah, no.
When I saw him as an actor,
as Hexus.
Yeah, as Hexus, he was fantastic. When I actually started watching films like in my teens, Rocky Horror,
and that's number 10.
I can understand that.
I can too. It's if you watch it, it's really a B movie.
It's a horrible, campy musical.
Yes, it's awful, but that's what it was made to be.
Yeah.
So is it overrated? Maybe.
Yeah.
People pay a little too much attention to it, but.
To me, it just kind of felt like sci-fi Grease with cross-dressing. Like that's what it kind of felt like.
Although I've come to the understanding now that if I ever want to be in Rocky Horror Picture, if I ever want to be in Rocky Horror the play or a film remake, I only got 2 parts available for me at this point. I can be the professor sitting in the wheelchair,
right?
Or I can be Eddie. That's about all I got.
Eddie is Meatloaf?
Yes.
Ah.
I mean, if they'll let me still be fat, I could pull off Riff Raff. But no chance. Nobody wants to see this dressed as Dr. Frankenfurter. I guarantee you that.
But you know how much fun it would be to see. That's the thing about Rocky Horror. Grease. Good Lord. That's the thing about Rocky Horror. It's the reason why it's good is because it's fun to even it's good.
Okay.
It's good because it's fun to watch the actors act out the parts.
Okay.
It's like watching a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Here's my question for you.
Okay.
Would you really want to see me as Rocky Horror? You know, Rocky, the creation?
Why do you go straight to the creation?
Because that's the one thing nobody wants to see. Nobody wants to see me walking around in Dungedos. I guarantee that.
Let's make it believable here, but you're still like you can.
Anyway, moving on.
I mean, I couldn't pull off Rocky. I know that for damn sure.
I could do the singing of it. That's the only part I could pull off.
Oh, okay.
I could sing it, but that's I could sing almost all of it. If you remember correctly, somebody that you know did the time warp at their wedding. Their wedding reception?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did the time warp.
Oh, wow.
Nobody at us danced it, but still, we played it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, number 9. This one, it seems a little controversial, actually.
Okay.
Wall-E.
Overrated?
Yeah.
I never saw it.
I mean, I get it because it's just a simple story of 2 robots falling in love. But it's kind of beautiful.
It's more about like it's a post-apocalyptic story about 2 robots falling in love and showing you the fate of the human race.
Yes.
Yeah.
That part's good, but
that's the part for the adults.
I disagree. I think the robots falling in love is the part for the adults. Wall-E and Eve's romance is amazing. Here's what I'll say to use the popular meme.
Okay.
Better love story than Twilight.
Okay.
Then again, just about anything is a better love story than Twilight. Me looking at a piece
Blade is a better love story than Twilight.
Me looking at a piece of cake is a better love story than Twilight. All right, so number 8. I agree with this one. Forrest Gump.
Really?
I remember when this movie was all the rage, and all I could think about was, so they're just putting him in all these historical situations and poking fun at the historical situations.
Yeah.
Again, book is better. You're going to hear me say that quite often with most things. I almost always feel novelizations are better because they get a lot more of the information right. Interesting to note, you know who they were originally looking for to play the part of Forrest Gump?
They weren't looking for Tom Hanks?
No, Tom Hanks was a secondary choice. Not even a second choice, but a secondary choice.
Okay.
The original actor they were looking for was actually John Travolta. He actually more fit the character from the novel. Okay. Because Forrest Gump in the novel is supposed to be taller and more bulky.
Yeah, that makes a little sense. Yeah. That makes a little more sense. I mean, yeah, he could have pulled it off. I think he could have pulled it off, but
he turned. It's one of those funny stories about actors turning down roles and just being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did it." One of my favorite of those is Will Smith. He turned down a role in the mid-'90s.
Which one?
He turned down one role to go be in Wild Wild West.
Oh
no! You know what role he turned down?
What did he turn down?
Neo.
Oh, that's terrible.
Which actually later he
read the script and saw a giant mechanical spider and he turned down the Matrix.
Yes. He later said that he was kind of glad he did for only one reason. He believes he would have completely ruined the part. He would have messed it up.
Oh.
And think about it. We wouldn't have the Keanu that we have now.
True.
We wouldn't
have
we wouldn't have the movie Keanu, which is a great film. Have you seen Keanu?
No.
Key and Peele's movie Keanu? With the cat.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
God,
I have not
you have
seen
to
Keanu.
see that movie.
Okay.
You have to see that movie. Great film. Anyway.
Awesome.
Number 7. We just did Forrest Gump. That was number 8. Number 7. Yes. Fern Gully, post-Civil War.
What?
Fern Gully, post-Civil War. Or as you probably better know it, Dances with Wolves.
Oh, what the hell?
First of all, that movie came away with I think it got 11 Oscars that year.
Yeah, I didn't like Dances with Wolves.
It was a terrible film. So
boring.
Long.
The most excitement happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie when the general shoots himself.
And you get some cool stuff like Tatanka and Stands with Fist. Those are fun things to have in lexicon.
Yeah.
But you don't even hear those very much anymore. That was early 90s fun stuff. The rest of it's just, really dumb, slow, plotting movie. It's like, Kevin, why'd you have to go and start trying to direct your films? Why?
Is that, it was directed by him?
Oh, he directed that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Then he did Waterworld. Then he did The Postman.
Didn't those tank hard too?
Bad.
Waterworld was terrible.
Waterworld was pretty terrible, yeah.
I did not like Waterworld at all.
The science was bad to begin with, but go beyond the science. Okay, number 6. A movie I actually have not seen because I wasn't interested in seeing it. Traffic.
I heard about this. I was not interested in it.
It came out around the time that I was working at Blockbuster, actually. Came out in 2000, so near the tail end. I remember it coming out and being big. I don't know if you remember when it came out and was big. Because it was up for a lot of awards. I think it won an award. But it just never interested me. It just looked like a disjointed, kind of ugly looking movie. You know? But people have said great things about it. Oh, now we have some controversy.
Okay, go.
Number 5.
All right, here goes.
Clerks.
Huh.
I get it, though. I get what they're saying with it being overrated.
Okay.
Is it really a good movie? It's a cheap-ass movie shot on black and white.
Right.
With a camera that basically doesn't know how to move at all. And people who aren't actors or who aren't professional actors giving kind of stilted dialogue. Yeah,
true. It's nothing but a lot of Clerks just feels like a lot of dialogue.
It's a lot of dialogue with very little action, and the thing is,
it's not. There's not a lot that happens in the story.
No, but that's part of the point of it. But here's the thing that's interesting about it: if you actually pay attention to the dialogue, it's really good, witty dialogue. Mm-hmm. It's just not always delivered the best.
No,
and yeah, this is what spawned Kevin Smith's career. And of course, we did the podcast talking about Kevin Smith and how much we love this movie and how much it is a voice of the generation. But is it maybe overrated? To some people, I'm sure it's considered that, because most people look at it and consider it not a well-made film. And he'll even say it was a cheaply made movie. But that almost showed people that anybody could make a movie and make something out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And again, it hit that proper slacker voice. So, but little controversial, but I see it. Number 4. Yes.
Okay.
Titanic.
I was never a fan.
Did you see it in the theater?
No, I didn't have a reason to go see it in the theater.
Oh, so you didn't have
a
girlfriend?
My parents didn't. No, I didn't have a girlfriend when Titanic was out.
97?
Yeah, I didn't have a girlfriend. Yeah, I had no girlfriend, and
it's okay.
I wasn't going to go out to see a
No.
movie on a boat.
The only way that you...
I remembered hearing about it coming out, and I'm going, I know how this stuff ends, man. You know?
Good catching yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, here's the thing. You're right. In 1997, if you didn't have a girlfriend and you were a guy... Let me rephrase. If you were a straight guy in 1997 and didn't have a girlfriend, you probably did not go see Titanic.
You also probably didn't see Romeo and Juliet either.
Drama nerds can be straight guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's because they're going with the girls that they're in drama with.
Sometimes they're just going to
whether or not they're dating them, they're still trying to.
Sometimes they're just going to see whatever new Shakespeare adaptation. Well, yes, there's that too. But anyway, I did see Titanic in the theater because I did have a girlfriend at that time.
Okay.
And I did get in trouble. Because when Leonardo DiCaprio slides into the ocean after he's dead, I did...
Move your ass!
No.
And let him on the door!
No, I wasn't worried about that. I cheered. I clapped and cheered.
You clapped and cheered
I clapped and
when
cheered.
his frozen corpse sank into the ocean.
Yes. Because actually I thought what happened was his thumb broke off. I thought his thumb broke in her hand and he fell into, and he slid into the water. I cheered.
That would have been hilarious.
For years, I thought that's what happened, is that his thumb had broken into the water. And his thumb had broken, he had slipped into the water. And he was frozen because he was frozen. And I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. I was so happy to see him dead.
Just to see like it morbidly happen that way. Is that why?
I am not, even back then, I was not a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio. I have never been able to be a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
I do like the adaptation of Romeo and Juliet that he's in. The only bad part of that adaptation is him being in it. Everything else is fantastic. If they had cast anybody else to play that role, I would have loved it even more. Okay. Just the fact that he's in it makes it a problematic thing for me. I just never really was a fan of DiCaprio.
It depends on the film for me. It really does.
One movie I'm okay with him in. Inception.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Even
like
Gilbert
Inception.
Grape, that wasn't it for you? Because what's in Gilbert Grape, I kind of
I just didn't like the movie.
Oh, okay. I liked it. I thought it was,
it's a decent role that he does in that, but I just am not a fan of the movie.
Yeah.
I won't decry him for that movie, but just as far as anything else, just not a fan.
Yeah. So
to see him,
I can understand that. There's
see
a lot
him
of
sink into the North Atlantic.
Yeah.
Was just kind of nice for me. It just made me happy.
That's terrible.
Oh, I got in a lot of trouble. My girlfriend
and then
was
he
pissed.
came back as Captain America.
My girlfriend was pissed. No, he didn't, thank God. And oh my God.
Although I'm curious as to whether or not he was considered for Captain America.
No.
Because that would have been hilarious.
No, he was not. He was not.
You hear that deep fake, guys?
The guy who played
Put DiCaprio on Captain America.
The guy who played Shazam in the new Shazam movie.
Yes.
He was one of the people up for the part of Captain America.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. I could see that.
So was the guy from The Office. Oh God. He's married to a British actress. I cannot think of his name. The younger guy with the big ears. There's a meme of him like behind blinds or something. Jim, I think.
Jim?
Yeah, from The Office.
Oh,
he was up for the
I
role.
could see that.
But then when he saw that Evans was up for it, he was like, nope, I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
So Titanic, number 4.
Okay.
Number 3.
Okay, well, before we keep going here, how controversial, when you're looking at the last 3, how controversial are the last 3?
Fairly. You want
They're
to take a break?
I was thinking taking a break and then take the top 3 and really kind of like go into detail if we can, or at least have some kind of comparisons or something like that.
We can, and then this gives you some time. I listed a couple of the ones that I think are overrated.
Okay.
Gives you a little bit of time to think up some that you think are overrated. We can close out with that.
I like that.
Okay. All right, let's take a break now. We'll come back with the top 3 on IMDb's list of overrated movies, and hopefully all these other ones have inspired Mike to come up with a few of his own.
Yeah.
We'll be back in just a minute.
Hey friends, this is Mike from the Xennial Chronicles reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xencron, spelled Xenchron, to keep up to date on all things TXC. And please check out our official website, theXennialChronicles.com, or if that's too much to type, Xencron.com. Thanks again for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we are back after a little look at Mr. Mike's movie collection, some thinking.
I needed a little bit of a something to kickstart my idea on this.
And it's, hey, I mean, you actually have a somewhat active life as far as the job that you do, the fact that you are doing sound work.
Yeah. I don't get to go out and see a lot of movies.
Well, no, so. I mean, your knowledge is much more encyclopedic when it comes to music.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I'm the guy that sits at home and watches movies and remembers tons of crap about them.
Yep.
And, like, that's when you dream, it probably always has music involved. When I dream, it looks like a movie.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's the biggest difference. My knowledge of movies is just completely there in my head. I'm sure I could start when we've had these episodes where we talked more about music. You've been quick.
Yeah,
on your recall that. So I understand.
That's where that's my realm of expertise. I would say
that's why we're a good
just
balance.
Music trivia. Yeah, for sure. All right.
So we're now on number 3 on the list.
We got the top 3 on this list.
I shouldn't need to recap anything, right? Because people would just be listening into it. It's not like it's been a huge break for them.
No.
Okay, so number 3 on the list. This one again. The top 5 is getting really controversial. Number 3, I would say, is fairly so.
Okay.
Citizen Kane. And the reason I say fairly so is it's AFI's number 1 movie of all time.
Wow.
AFI, the American Film Institute, considers that the best movie ever made. Now, I will say this.
Wow.
What really needs to... How familiar are you, by the way, with Citizen Kane? How many times have you seen it?
I've seen it twice.
Seen it twice?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
It's one of those films that you should see probably once, and then the rest of the time you get the point. Once you get the plot twist, it's just like you're watching.
It's not about the plot twist. The thing that you need to realize about the movie is the other innovation that you don't think about when you're watching the film.
And that is?
First off, you need to realize Orson Welles was in his early 20s when he did this movie.
Yes.
He wrote it.
He looks like
it.
He
directed it.
Yeah.
And he starred in it. Now
that is a hell of an accomplishment for a guy that young.
Now, this was made in 1941.
Okay.
Now, he had a lot of stage experience and a lot of radio experience, even at this point. Mm-hmm. This is made in 1941.
Right.
It actually almost got blacklisted. In fact, he did not win any Oscar, or he only won 1 Oscar for this. 1 Oscar was won for this movie. It was up for Best Picture, but did not win because the depiction of the main character was thought to be too similar to William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper magnate.
Right. That's what kind of wasn't. Yeah. I mean, they did
whatever they could to tank it with yellow journalism and whatnot. So there was a lot of controversy with this movie.
Right.
But what's key about this movie is, first of all, again, 1941.
Okay.
So the movie's in black and white.
Right.
He actually had contracts signed that even in 1941, they had colorization techniques, and he had contracts signed that were eventually overridden, where he never wanted this movie to be colorized.
Wait, Citizen Kane's been colorized?
There have been versions that have been put out colorized.
I've never seen it.
Because they did eventually get pulled, but there have been versions that got put out, played on like TV stations, colorized versions, and they got pulled because of the legal things involved. Citizen Kane Orson Welles never wanted it to be colorized.
Why is that?
Because he specifically chose the certain things that he did, knowing that he was filming in black and white, to get the mise en scène that he wanted, the scene placement, the setup of the scene.
Oh,
the thing to realize is this is with the exception of maybe one scene in the movie, which is a little bit of an awkward scene. This is a movie that was planned out far even beyond what Kubrick would plan out a movie, to the point that it was just meticulous in the way that he shot it. And one of the tricks he used with this film is camera angle.
Right. Yeah, I remember noticing there's a lot of extreme angle.
Well, in the beginnings of this film, you get a lot of low camera angle shots when you're looking at Charles Kane, the main character. He actually cut out holes in the floor to get these low camera angle shots.
Okay.
And as the movie progresses and as Charles Kane slowly starts, he becomes, super rich and becomes this major figure. You have you have him putting on the show for his girlfriend, young wife, whatever, and being the first one to clap, the single slow clap, and everybody else clapping along, even though she's awful. As all these things progress, and suddenly he starts having troubles with his wife. There's in fact a scene where they go through different dining room tables that kind of show the progression of their relationship as being great at first and progressively getting worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And as these things start happening in his life, and even though he has the money, he's never found happiness.
Right.
The camera slowly starts moving up to where you get at one point equal with him. And then as his life starts falling apart, the camera starts getting from an angle above him, looking down on him.
Yes.
And you see more space between him and other people, physical space in the frames and in the shot. This was one of the first real usages of framing and camera angle as part of the storytelling device. Now, there are many directors who will come later that will do this, use these kind of things to really help tell their stories.
Right.
But this is the first real usage of moving the camera at different angles, and by the angles, making you as the audience feel a different way. In the first part of the movie, you're looking up to Charles Kane. He's a hero.
Yeah.
He's a great person. He's a self-made man. And by the end of the movie, you're looking down on this poor, pathetic creature whose life has fallen apart.
Right.
And so the twist reveal, the Rosebud twist reveal, is considered the big part of it.
Yeah.
But really, the camera angles, the staging, the setting, the lighting, the space that's used, the positive and negative space with just the black and white.
Yeah.
Because the color would ruin.
It would ruin
the different things that
contrast.
he was doing.
It would ruin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one scene in front of a giant fireplace, and there's just such a void space. There's nothing. There's no fire going. It's just this giant fireplace. And I think it's when he's finally leaving his wife or kicking her out or whatever, and she's just all alone in front of this giant void space.
Yeah.
And her dress that she's wearing is like a really light color, almost white or probably white, but that's how it comes off in the black and white film.
Right.
And it's just those moments where he was meticulous about exactly what he wanted you to see, to evoke emotion beyond words and story. His pictures were there to evoke it. This is one of the first movies that really, really focused on getting those pictures just right, getting those moments that were iconic snapshot moments.
So if that's the case, I mean, why would IMDb consider this to be so overrated? Are they just are they missing the forest for the trees here or what?
The problem is, this is not a movie that's overrated to people who are film students, to people who are trying to pay attention to how film is made.
Okay,
but to the average viewer and watcher,
right?
I've seen it 4 times. It is one of the most boring movies I have ever watched. It is so slow, so boring, so predictable.
But it's a lesson in filmmaking, and that's the
difference. It's considered this great, great film, but they're not defining it in the right way, and I think that's why that's why they have
people sit and watch it. They're just like, man, I fell asleep. I didn't care.
This is boring. What's up with this? But you get film students watching it, being told, look at what he's doing here. See how he's doing this. Then it makes sense as
it's easier to follow. It's more you can get into those bits and pieces and shots and see what he's doing.
You see the importance of the artwork as opposed to the enjoyment factor.
Interesting.
And I think that's where it comes down.
So this one doesn't sound like it's overrated over the fact that it's misunderstood.
Misunderstood, I would say, more than overrated.
Yeah.
Personally.
For sure. I agree with that. I agree that it's misunderstood.
I understand why
overrated.
many people would think it's overrated because, again, this is supposed to be the best movie of all time, and it's not really that enjoyable.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I mean, financially, we know what the best movie of all time is, the one that's made the most money. Avatar.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because Endgame is just under.
Yeah, like 20 million or something.
I heard Far From Home beat Endgame's opening weekend or something like that.
Opening Wednesday. It beat its Wednesday.
That's a record.
Yeah, there is. There's a record for it.
Get out of here with that.
It's silly. But anyway.
Okay, so
Citizen Kane was number 3.
That was number 3. Okay, what's number 2?
I'm curious if you've seen this one. Gone with the Wind.
I have never seen Gone with the Wind.
You've never seen Gone with the Wind?
Never seen it. I've seen, obviously, the ending scene.
First of all,
tried watching it like...
It is aged badly.
Yeah, I've tried watching it as a kid. I just couldn't sit through
the
it.
African American actresses in the movie and the depictions they were supposed to do at the time of the movie.
Oh, that's the case with It's a Wonderful
Life
too.
Really bad. Well, It's a Wonderful Life. That's an interesting story. We'll have to touch on
that. I've never.
You realize that when that movie came out, nobody liked it. It was considered a piece of garbage. You realize the only reason it's considered a holiday classic is because somebody let the rights go on it, the replay rights. Somebody did not re-up the rights to that movie, the ownership rights to replay it. And so,
that's why. It's basically free for everybody to play every year or something.
It got bought up by a TV network, and that TV network basically
just
blasted
pushed it all over the place
for like 30 years around holiday times.
Wow!
So that it became part of the zeitgeist of the culture here in the U.S. When in fact it was a hated movie when it came out. It was considered a piece of garbage.
I mean,
it was Christmas with the Cranks.
I could see that. I mean, maybe that would be something that I would label as an overrated film.
I think so. I think so very much.
No,
that would definitely fall into overrated. So, Gone with the Wind. One again. The book is better. That's number one. Number two.
Okay.
The thing about this movie is again, it does not hold up nowadays. For one. Two, this movie was such a spectacle to be made. There's one shot in this film. It's a crane camera shot that's looking over kind of a field hospital, Civil War field hospital.
Okay.
And it's this huge, at the time it was probably one of the biggest long shots ever done. And it's a continuous shot. Huge group, at least 300-400 people lying injured with another 200 or so tending them. Half the people were real people, real extras. The other half were just dummies and dolls that were just these injured Civil War soldiers laying out near this railroad track area.
Right.
And that one shot is an amazing single shot. But as far as the movie goes, it's again, long, slow, boring as hell. Consider this great masterpiece of a film, but it's really not that interesting. The story is hard to follow, and there's nobody in there that you really, really care about in the whole movie.
With the pacing that you're talking about here, and especially with that assessment, gave me another idea for another film. I'm going to give you two of them.
Okay, good.
Instead of just one.
I see you made a note on your papers.
Yeah.
So that's probably I can see why this is
like, I can understand if that's the case, man. I can see, because there's so many people that are just like, have you ever seen this? It's a fantastic film.
You watch Gone with the Wind.
It's just like, why would I waste my time on that?
This was a yearly movie in my household as a child.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
TNT would show this movie, either TNT or one of the other networks would show this movie every single damn year. That and around Easter time, I can tell you, first time I heard the second to last track on Ride the Lightning, I knew what the inspiration was. Because I had watched the Ten Commandments once a year, every year until I was like 16. Every year around Easter it came on.
Yeah.
And every year my mother would watch the Ten Commandments.
Nice.
I was so familiar with that movie.
Right.
That's like, that too many times I saw that film.
So you got to experience.
I actually got a really good old school.
That song extremely well then.
Yes, and I got an old school Hollywood education on a lot of things because my mother watched a lot of what would be considered golden age Hollywood movies.
Cool.
And I got a blessing from that. That's why I'm familiar with Gone with the Wind, and it's so slow. It's long also. I mean, this is a movie that's 3 hours and 58 minutes.
Ugh.
It had an intermission when it was played in the theaters. And at the time when it first came out, it sold tons of tickets. It was huge because the book was very, very popular. The amount of fervor that's been all over the Twilight movies because of the books, the 50 Shades of Stupid. I mean Grey, sorry. 50 Shades of Twilight fan fiction. Let's say it that way because that's the appropriate way.
That's legitimately what it was first.
Yes. Or even Game of Thrones.
Right.
This was the same type of fervor. This was a book that was that big at the time.
Okay, that makes sense.
And for people ate it up. But to modern audiences, this is just a slow, boring movie that people watch and wonder, how is this a great film? There's nothing about it that seems great. I can understand how this would be on their list.
I don't even know, dude. I don't even know the story of it. Like, I've never watched enough of it to really care. This one's completely out of my realm.
Here's the hard part. I've watched it so many times, I don't even really know the story of it.
What the hell?
And you know,
is that a thing?
How
is that a thing?
You know me. I know movies. I don't know this one. I've watched it at least 10 times in my life. There's nothing there to hold me.
Okay, so this is one of those ones that was watched every year in your house, huh?
Yes.
Like mom would put it on, and then that's just what's happening, and now you've got that to watch, and you can't change the channel.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's the only excuse I could think of where you watched that movie that many times.
I didn't choose to watch it. It was mom watching it.
Oh man, you didn't have a chance to go play video games in the room or something.
No, I didn't get that till later.
Oh,
remember, I was late on getting video games, man.
Yeah.
No, this is just...
We had them, but they were on the front TV, so you couldn't change the channel while mom was watching something too.
This was the thing that she was watching. And see, I remember plots to probably 20 or 30 John Wayne movies that my dad watched, because those were interesting movies. I remember some where, like, the movie Rio Bravo and the movie El Dorado, they have the same basic plot. They just have John Wayne in 2 different roles. In Rio Bravo, he's the drunk. In El Dorado, he's not the drunk. Seriously, they're the same basic movies.
Yeah.
But he just plays, and in Rio Bravo, he's the drunk, and I think it's, oh God, it's, Dean Martin is not the drunk.
Dean Martin didn't play the drunk?
Oh no, it gets funnier. In El Dorado, John Wayne's not the drunk. Robert Mitchum is the drunk.
What?
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, it'd make more sense if he was on lewds, but still, Robert Mitchum's the drunk. And even funnier, Ricky Nelson
is just like a laudanum addict.
Ricky Nelson is the dumb kid in Rio Bravo.
Whoa.
Yes, Ricky Nelson. Like the singer Ricky Nelson.
Yeah, totally.
He's the dumb kid in Rio Bravo.
That's crazy.
James Caan is the dumb kid in El Dorado.
James Caan. That's how far back it was.
Yeah. And another interesting one, El Dorado, the bad guy is Ed Asner.
That's awesome. I kind of want to see that now.
Oh no, El Dorado's a great movie.
Okay.
That's a fun movie.
You know what? I am like I have zero familiarity with any John Wayne film.
But see,
I've seen McClintock at your house, and that is the only John Wayne film I have ever watched.
Which is a great
Never
one.
seen True Grit, never seen any of these other ones that you're...
True Grit's not bad, and it's...
Like, I've seen him on TV for 15 minutes at my grandma's house, and then I got bored and I went and did something else.
I have a few. Hatari you would get a kick out of. Hatari is one that takes place in Africa.
Oh, okay.
He catches animals for zoos. African animals for zoos. Yeah, it's a funny movie. And then at some point we'll sit down and watch Donovan's Reef, only for one scene. There's an awesome scene. Well, there's the awesome scene in Donovan's Reef, but there's also the fact that you're going to bug out over who plays the minister, priest, pastor. I forget exactly what his title is, but he's the religious authority.
Okay.
I think no, he's not. I'm sorry, he's the governor. He's not the religious authority.
Okay.
It's Cesar Romero.
Cool.
Yeah, and just an interesting side role.
Right, I'm already interested. Let's go.
But no, there's a bar fight in Donovan's Reef that's just the lead up to the bar. The bar fight itself is kind of funny, but the lead up to the bar fight is hilarious.
That's awesome.
So funny.
Okay.
But anyway, those I remember. I remember all these. See, I'm talking about John Wayne movies.
Yeah,
because I remember them. Quiet Man 2. You have to watch Quiet Man.
Never seen it.
Quiet Man. It's same actress from McClintock. Maureen O'Hara.
Okay.
But they're younger. It takes place in Ireland. And, in McClintock, there's a scene where he's dragging her through the town.
Yeah.
He is dragging her through the Irish countryside in
Lord.
In The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
And then he has a knockdown, drag-out fight through the Irish countryside with the actor playing her brother, who is actually, I believe, her brother in real life.
That's awesome.
And the fight goes into a pub. They stop and have a few drinks. Stop the fight, have a few drinks, because that's how Irish fight. Just keep that in mind.
Okay.
You fight for a while, you have a few drinks, and then you go back to the fight. That's how it works.
Okay.
But it literally spans through the whole countryside with all of these Irish townsfolk, including the Protestant minister and the Catholic priest, following along, watching the fight happen. It is a beautiful film. And just that sequence is amazing. It's a love letter to Ireland.
Okay.
Drinking, fighting, and dragging women through the countryside.
That's
beautiful thing.
Wow. Okay.
But see how my memory works on these? I got all these in my head.
Yeah.
This movie, which I saw many, many times, I don't remember a damn thing about it.
That's how boring it is?
So boring, except for, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That's all I remember. And who doesn't remember
Literally the last, I remember that. I've never even seen the damn film.
So, and as God is my witness, I will never go hungry again.
I still don't know why that's a thing. I don't know what that's
like her
about.
farm fails. Her plantation fails. Tara the plantation fails. See, I know bits and pieces. It's terrible. Terrible. I get this. I totally get this. All right, that was number 2. I'm thankful that my mom is not listening to this because she'd be smacking me. I love that movie. Gone with the Wind is amazing. You can't smack me. Moving on.
We're going to leave that alone.
Number 1 movie. I kind of already mentioned it. Goodfellas.
That's the number 1 most unrated movie?
And their description. Hold on. Let's get to the proper description here.
I was going to say, I'm confused.
I could write a book on why and how Goodfellas is not a good movie. Here are my most salient beefs. Okay, this is IMDb.
The author.
This is IMDb. The guy who made the list.
What's the name of the person who made the list? Let's give him proper credit.
I will find it.
Okay,
I'll find who.
We'll find it and look it up while we're talking. Yeah.
Meandering, poorly scripted, and or poorly acted voiceover narrative that not only lacks resonance but plausibility. Overacting.
Oh, that's not even okay. These guys, that's nitpicky, dude. That's literally his character. Okay. His character is subdued.
Overacting. There might well be a reason that Joe Pesci doesn't get much work these days. Leota chews the scenery, and most of the parts are not coaxed into the kind of performances that makes this a memorable movie.
I don't know, man. I'm not 100% on that.
Number 3, I realize this movie intentionally loses the cool mystique of the mafia The Godfather accomplished. The Sopranos did this to tremendous effect. However, this film makes them all look like reprobates and idiots. And that's my problem. They all just kind of look dumb. It's just kind of a dumb mobster movie. There's no gravitas to it. And again, I don't like the Godfather movies either. Sopranos did a fairly good job with a similar premise between the two and did it better than what Goodfellas and Godfather did. I
guess I could see that. I don't know. Like, I kind of liked how that worked out. Like I said, this guy sounds like he's kind of nitpicky. I'm not sure I 100% agree with this. I don't see the guy's name who did this.
So
I bet you he's at the number 50 all the way through, like at the very, very beginning. You'll have to go through all of them. But I'm not 100% sure on that because the story itself is, as I can very easily tell, it is very, very loosely based on a true story, and I would consider it to be some semblance of one. I don't know the facts behind it, but that being said, the probably one of the biggest the biggest complaint I have about the article is the fact that it's taking the idea and the story of that film and adding characters that needed to be outlandish for the sake of the story moving, and it worked. And then on top of that, it still had a ridiculous climax. Like, the entire time, you're wondering whether or not this guy is going to, like, live or die. And that's kind of like part of it. He doesn't know what he's doing in this environment. He doesn't know why he's there. He's just a dude that's witnessing this he's witnessing these people practically eating each other alive.
Yeah.
And that's what the story is. So you have to take the narration into effect, because otherwise, without it, it doesn't work.
No, I understand. It's just,
I don't know. I personally think I don't consider the film to be overrated in that respect. There are some films that I feel are very overrated that were not within that list from the top 10.
Yeah.
They very well could be the ones that I've listed down that I'll talk about.
There's more within the top 50 that obviously we didn't get to. We just did the top 10.
Yeah.
But I am not able at this point to find who it is.
Okay.
But we will do a comeback on that at some point.
Well, if we don't find it in the podcast by the end of the podcast today, I will link it and I will give the article writer, his proper credit for sure.
Yeah. So, what is it that you have?
Her, whoever it is. Okay, so I have a couple of them.
Okay.
Should we do one and one?
No, go ahead and we'll do the two of yours. I got to talk in the beginning, and then
people are going to put me on a stake for a couple of these.
Okay.
Okay. My first one is, well, I'll go with the slow paced first.
Okay.
My first overrated film, which again is one of those films that I do really, really like, but I could only sit through it for pieces at a time.
Yeah, or the first time you watched it, you sat through it, and then beyond that.
And then beyond that, I can insert myself into it at any point and know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I also can't sit there and watch it through the entirety of the film.
Yeah.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Ooh, yeah, I get you on that.
People are going to skewer me for it, and I know that.
I would throw almost all of the Leone movies into that.
The Sergio Leone and Sergio Leone is brilliant in what he does in general. But
yes.
The problem is
slow plotting. The pacing is just amazing.
That's the issue with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that happens in that film can be easily told in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And this thing takes twice as long to get to the end.
Yeah.
And then the end is so just, I don't know, like, you're too busy being bored in the scenes in between to really pay attention. The dialogue is extremely minimal. There's nothing but a long, wide shots. There's a lot of walking.
Music.
There's a lot of the music. Don't get me wrong. Music is
amazing.
Flipping insane. I love it. And Ennio Morricone is still alive. He's still alive. Is one of the best film scoring
I actually had a
composers ever.
I had a Modelo beer last week.
Oh yeah,
on 4th of July. Mm-hmm. Had a Modelo beer because we purposely had Mexican food on 4th of July, just because my sense of humor,
right?
We had Mexican food, and I had acquired a single bottle of Modelo beer.
Okay,
cleaning out somebody else's fridge.
Uh-huh.
And so as I go to open, it was the first drink of the night. First thing that happened. Of course, being the 4th of July, we also had the drink that I told you about, that I sent you the message about.
Yes.
That was not fun. Those ones always get me. But I had the Modelo, and as I opened the top of the Modelo, I actually queued up my phone on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I opened the Modelo, and I'm holding it up, and I'm playing the music.
You're playing the XC of Gold?
Yeah, I'm playing XC of Gold because that's the music in the commercials now for Modelo. And my wife's sister, Taryn, is just looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing? You're stupid." And she was only one drink in at that point, so
yeah,
she shouldn't have been looking at me that like I was that dumb yet. Later that happened after the other one had happened, but to my wife's credit, she's like, "What are you watching, a live Metallica show?"
Yes.
I picked a winner.
Yes.
I picked a winner.
Yes. That's fantastic.
And I had to explain to her why I was doing it, but that was one of those moments of pride.
Yeah,
but the music is good, but yeah, you're right.
So the music is good, the actors are fantastic. The action scenes themselves are great, but the pacing in between is so damn slow.
Slow and plotting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just it doesn't add up to a modern audience in the same way.
Tip of the hat, by the way, to his other compositional work more recently. Did you actually see The Hateful Eight?
No.
Ennio Morricone does the score. The theme is one of the best Western themes I've ever heard.
Okay, that's...
I honestly, like,
okay,
literally think if
Here's
literally is what you think. If Morricone were to score a Tarantino film and it was a Western, that's exactly what you think it should sound like.
Here's a problem that I have, because I'm going to go a step beyond here.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that there is a film that's overrated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that there's a director that has become overrated.
Okay.
I believe that Quentin Tarantino has become overrated. Here's the thing. Like,
I'm not completely sure I fully agree.
I think that he's able to make movies that don't have as much substance to them as his earlier ones did. and be able to pass it off better. I think I don't feel the same comes off of after Django. I don't feel the same comes off.
Django is where you stop. Have you even seen the two of them that have come since?
What is there? Django, there's the Hateful Eight, and there's
Django, then there's Hateful Eight, and now there's
Once Upon a Time in California.
Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I don't think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood come out yet, or at least it may have just come out, or something. It's like super close to coming out.
Hateful Eight.
So you haven't seen it though?
No, and I haven't been wanting to because I watched about, I would say, 45 minutes of Django and shut it off. I was just not. And maybe it was, I'm not a huge fan of Jamie Foxx as an actor.
Okay.
Maybe it was just the Jamie Foxx of it all, and then knowing that I would see some Leonardo DiCaprio later. Okay. And great, I understand he breaks a glass and is cut and still acts through it and wipes blood on people. That's fantastic.
Don't you dare play that down. That was pretty flippin' genius, dude.
I mean, I give him credit for acting through the scene.
Yeah.
You cut yourself, you act through the scene. All right, I give you credit for that. Mm-hmm. It's just personal thing watching him act. I just can't do it.
Okay, so here's the thing about
now, I mean, the cast of Hateful Eight made me want to be involved.
It is okay. So it's the same. Take the mysterious idea of
from my understanding,
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, it's a close.
It's the mystery of Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
set in a Western setting,
in a cabin in the snow in the woods.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it
the
really
actors,
is. It honestly is like, you think things are going one way, they're absolutely not.
Yeah.
The plot twist, the richness of Reservoir Dogs is in that film.
Okay, then,
it is there. It's
then,
worth
then
watching.
I may be incorrect in my assessment.
I personally think it's worth watching. You may not like it, but give it a chance.
I may have to, because Django just turned me the wrong way. Now, I mean, I did like one watch through of Inglourious Bastards, but it wasn't a movie that I felt like watching
you have to keep
through.
Watching. Yeah,
I mean, Pulp Fiction I can watch through multiple times and have some enjoyment of it.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that.
Jackie Brown I actually like watching through multiple times.
Never seen Jackie Brown.
That one that's a good
I'll
movie.
check that one out. I want to check it out.
And then I like the Kill Bill movies. I think they're hilarious.
I think they're great.
But,
I think they're fantastic. That is a wonderful homage to Kung Fu movies.
Yes.
That is one of the best homages
Shaw
to
Brothers,
Kung Fu movies.
right? Is it the Shaw Brothers that he was making movies to homage with that? Or that was supposed to be an homage to the Shaw Brothers movies?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know. I just know that it has the old opening credit sequences the last 50 Kung Fu movies came out in the 70s.
I apologize to Quentin Tarantino, even though I know he will not be listening to this. and maybe my judgment has come too soon on that.
Yeah. Give it a chance.
Okay.
Give it a chance. It's actually one of my favorites.
So then your second movie. I just want to make a mental note. He felt so strongly about this second movie.
I had to bring the DVD, which I own. DVD. And I like the film, and I watched it as a kid many times.
Okay, you watched it as a kid many times. First of all, quick question. When was the last time you watched it?
I was probably 16.
So you own this DVD, but you've never cracked open the DVD to watch it?
I think it was my wife's.
Okay. When was the last time you heard and or sang to the music of it?
I never really sang to the music of it.
Right.
The only one that I did
you're not one of those,
the only one that I sang to was The Lion Sleeps Tonight, which actually wasn't an original composition.
So here's my question for you. Are you the type of guy that sits and watches a Disney movie and doesn't sing along with the Disney movie?
Yeah, I'm watching
How are
the
we
movie.
friends? How are we friends?
I don't know, man. I just don't like singing along with Disney movies.
I know what it is. Wait, do you sing along with musicals when you watch them?
No.
Again, how
I
are we
don't
friends?
sing along with I don't do that. That's not I'm not a follow the bouncing ball kind of guy.
But why? That's the best. I mean, the first time you watch it, you don't do it because you don't know the songs.
Right.
But by the 30th time you watch it, you should be singing along with it.
Well, I just never, I would rather
You're not
kind
a
of
30th
take it
time
in,
watch
man.
it.
Not I'm not part of the show. I'm taking the show in.
That's
watching
part of
it.
the experience.
If it is to you, but it's not to a pre-recorded DVD that's sitting in my living room.
I just want you to be prepared, sir. If you ever watch a Disney DVD with me or a musical with me that I've seen the musical already, I am singing the song, sir.
All
because
right.
I am an active participant in my movies. Now, if it's your first time ever watching it, I'll try to sing under my breath.
Okay.
But if it's not your first
I appreciate
time,
that.
like if we put Lion King in right now, I am singing along with that crap.
Cool.
Instantaneously.
All right.
It's not even...
I don't even think that I actually said what it was.
I'm sorry. Quack me out.
Quacking. lapping it to Quack later.
Damn it.
All right, so check it out.
Do it.
So my film, in case you guys may not have been listening in the middle of our back and forth, is The Lion King. And probably this one is going... I honestly think...
You think it's going to be more controversy than the ones I've said?
Yes.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Here's the deal. You won't find anybody that doesn't love The Lion King, especially right now that they're doing the live-action recasting and everybody's like crazy excited about it and all this kind of stuff. Here's the problem I have with The Lion King. It is not the fact that it is a great film, because it is a great film. It's not the fact that the cast is superb, because the cast is superb. The scripting is fantastic. The music is fantastic. This film is a lie. This film is a ripoff. It was
you're
marketed as an original story.
Well, I mean...
They even stated this is the first original story by Disney when it came out.
Okay,
and I
so
think, 10 years beforehand, there was a I think it's based on an African story, but it's...
You know what's actually really funny is I actually read an article about this just today. So, and I didn't tell you that I read an article about this.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I'm actually going to give you some counterpoint on
okay.
this. But first thing I want to say, so what
I know this backstory loosely.
First of all, are you mad that it's ripping off Hamlet? Because I mean, Billy Shakes might be a little upset with that too.
Well, I didn't think about that, and the fact that actually it ends happy makes no real sense.
It's a little different from the Hamlet.
I can understand
but
that.
If you think about that, you have Hamlet.
Right.
You have.
I'm not very familiar with the story of Hamlet. I did not read Hamlet.
Basically,
in high school.
Hamlet's uncle kills his dad.
Oh, and does he blame Hamlet?
He marries. He just blamed. He supposedly died of natural causes. He marries Hamlet's mom. Then Hamlet's dad comes back as a ghost and tells Hamlet, "Hey, your uncle killed me." And Hamlet tries to basically prove it, and everybody basically dies. That's a good description. However, there are two characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, that it has been theorized that Timon and Pumbaa are possible versions of. So there are some similarities.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I can see them pulling from Hamlet.
All of my Shakespeare friends are going to be so angry with me at that really crappy explanation of Hamlet, but that's literally as basic as I can get.
Does Hamlet's uncle have a scar over his face?
Nobody's named Claudius, I think.
Okay. That's funny.
I mean, that's bad enough.
Yeah. All right, so check this out. The story of Kimba the White Lion.
We're bringing in Kimba the White Lion.
Because here's what's so funny about this story, James.
Okay,
we can go back to Hamlet, which makes sense. It's a base story.
So first, what is Kimba the White Lion, Mike?
Kimba the White Lion is an anime from, I believe, the 80s.
Was it an anime?
Yeah.
Did it start as an anime?
I believe it may have started actually as a novel. I'm not positive. I do not know. I thought it started actually based on an African story.
Do you know the correct pronunciation of this word? It's the comic books that they do.
Oh, you mean a manga?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it manga?
Started as a manga?
Is it manga? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, it's called manga.
It started as a manga.
Okay. So this story starts as a manga. Essentially, the idea is that the animated film that came out based on the manga is about a small boy lion whose father is killed by his uncle. The uncle does have a scar over his eye. The uncle takes over the land, and then Kimba the White Lion grows up, finds love, and takes the land back over. It's literally the same damn story.
Okay. First of all, the movie was...
You should even see the establishing shots in this film. It is like shot for shot.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm
not disagreeing with you. Okay. Now, let's do a few things here.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the Kimba the White Lion animated film was actually parts of a TV series, a cartoon series.
Oh, interesting.
That was put together and made into the film.
Oh, cool.
In the cartoon series, there's also one point where for some reason Kimba the Lion is in Paris and gets his butt spanked by a waiter in Paris in an outdoor Parisian cafe.
I do not know this part of the story.
Yes, this is more to it. More importantly, the guy who did the mangas of Kimba the White Lion, you know what his inspiration originally was?
Hamlet?
No, the first set of mangas that he drew.
Okay.
For Disney.
Oh, that's funny.
Bambi, mangas. And think about
Oh,
Bambi.
interesting.
Think about Bambi. He is the prince of the forest.
Right.
His parent is killed. He finds love and takes back over being in charge of the forest after his dad dies as well.
I was going to say, wait a minute. His
There's no
mom
uncle.
is killed. He
His
stays
mom-
with his mom, and then he ends up raised by his dad.
Well, in the revisionist Bambi 2, in the well,
I didn't see
okay,
Bambi 2.
His dad
Bambi 2.
dad does show up after his mom is dead, but you don't see any real raising going on.
Yeah.
But still, Bambi was actually part of the inspiration after he did the manga for Bambi, the guy who did the Kimba the White Lion.
Yeah.
It was part of his inspiration to do Kimba the White Lion. And previous to him doing the Bambi manga,
Yeah.
previous to that, which was licensed by Disney, he had actually done a Pinocchio manga, which was not licensed by Disney. But this dude was like a Bambi super fan. He watched it 80 times in a year.
That's interesting.
And so his
Okay, so he did the Pinocchio. Did he do the Pinocchio one unlicensed, and then they hit him up for Bambi?
yeah.
Okay, so I got a question.
Yeah.
Actually, finish up what you're talking about real quick.
Kimba basically came out of that. This is the same guy that did Astro Boy, by the way. Same artist that
really?
did Astro Boy.
Oh, it's oh my goodness.
Tezuka?
Yeah,
Yeah. He's the guy that did.
Takashi Tezuka, is that his
Yes.
name? Oh, yep. Yeah.
He's the guy that did Kimba the White Lion.
Okay.
And again, it was a manga series, there was an animated series, and then this movie was made from it.
Yeah.
So Bambi was basically a direct inspiration for Kimba.
Okay.
Which then, if you want to say that Kimba is a direct inspiration for Lion King, which Matthew Broderick was actually quoted when he did Lion King, when he did the voice of Simba, he was quoted as saying that it was a cartoon when he was a kid about a white lion. So in his mind, he was doing an updated version of Kimba, even though Disney swore up and down that it was not.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And in fact, when Kimba the White Lion movie, the cobbled together movie, tried to be showed in theaters, Disney did their normal thing of shutting it down and not letting them do it.
Why did they shut it down?
Saying that it was infringing upon their
upon
stuff.
Bambi?
No, upon Lion King. This is after Lion King had come out.
Well, yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Because they did the film. Didn't Kimba the White Lion, the film, come out before Lion King?
Yes. And there were multiple
So they
versions
tried to
of
bring it to the States, and Disney was like, no, shut it down.
Yeah, at one point.
So the film had already been made, and then they brought it to the States as Kimba the White Lion, and Disney.
The TV series ran in the U.S. in the 1960s. In 97, it wasn't in the United States. In 97, Toronto's Fantasia Film Festival screened a new feature-length animated version of Jungle Emperor, which had part of the Kimba stuff in it.
Right.
And according to the festival director, Disney sent them a cease and desist to stop it.
Is it based on the term Fantasia?
No. The Fantasia Film Festival doesn't have to do anything with that. It's for the Jungle Emperor movie, which had the Kimba the White Lion stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's what they stopped it for. Probably the fact that it was Jungle Emperor, very similar to Lion King, if you really think about it.
I guess. I mean,
but the point is, it was the Kimba stuff made into a movie, and they were trying to stop it from happening.
Right.
Interesting note. What I'm getting all this information from is actually an article I read on cracked.com.
That's funny.
Which we'll link the article in.
Yeah.
J.M. McNabb is the writer of this article.
Okay.
And funny enough, he even mentions Bill Finger later in the article.
Oh, wow.
As it being a very similar case to
the Bill Finger
case with DC.
Yeah.
And that you're right. Kimba is not given the credit it deserves, but at the same time, if Kimba was inspired by Bambi, I mean, doesn't that still follow that?
No, I don't think so. First off, Bambi was also an unoriginal story. Okay, that's first off. Second off, Kimba was inspired by Bambi and put it on its sleeve. Like it was inspired by it. They didn't say it was a full original.
Well, no,
deal.
And apparently, it was well known that this guy was such a huge aficionado and lover of Bambi that for him to make an art product that was inspired by
I would
him
like
in
to
that
see.
way.
Now, I do not know this detail. I would like to see whether or not the story of Kimba by Tezuka, or if Tezuka stated that he was inspired by Bambi in order to write the story, because he probably would have said that.
Yes, he would. He probably would have said that.
That being said, I have more on this. The difference is that The Lion King tried to pass itself off as an original story with zero outside influence without mentioning anything about Kimba the White Lion. As a matter of fact, they tried to squash the damn thing to make sure they had the perception. So the film, it still goes back to this being a lie that it's an original story. And, I mean, in all other aspects, it's a great film. It's got a great score. It's got great actors. It's got great animation. It's got a great presentation. It's a very well put together film.
I don't disagree with you on that.
However, I consider it overrated because it's unoriginal.
And it's a lie.
That's a lie, dude.
And part of the thing is...
And the fact that they tried to squash it. Come on.
Well, and you look back and you see so many of the Disney films previous to this. I mean, this is kind of one of the big movies at the second Disney Renaissance, the Broadway Disney Renaissance.
Yeah,
because you have the classic Disney movies with their classic princess lineup, and they were musicals to an extent. But you get near the middle of you get to the into the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, and what do they have? The Black Cauldron, which was actually the last straw for. I don't know if you knew this. This is interesting. There's some very interesting animation in the Black Cauldron that it's almost like. The best way I can describe it, it's almost like it's a foil, shiny couple moments of the color in the animation, which is very, very indicative of Don Bluth's style of animation. That's because Don Bluth actually was working at Disney at the time and was part of the spearhead of Black Cauldron.
Was he part of the team that was doing the Xeroxed pencils?
I
Did you
don't
hear
know
about
for
that?
sure.
Okay, so for a lot of the films, if you look back on those, this is a complete this is a total segue off. But for a lot of the films that were done in they were done in the 60s and the 70s. Robin Hood, The Jungle Book.
Are you talking about? Hold on.
Sword in the Stone.
You're talking about the deep? No, it's not the Deep Canvas. Deep Canvas was the computer generated one.
No,
you're talking about the multiplane that they would do.
You're talking about taking sequences from one film and then recycling it for another film? Or are you talking about when they would take the pencils and they would literally Xerox them onto cell sheets and then use the cell sheets and then they would color the black and white printed cell sheets? So it was basically the idea of Xerox copying a pencil, like a pencil drawing. They would hardline the pencil drawing and then they would Xerox copy it onto the clear cell. So it was black on clear instead of black on white.
Okay.
So
yeah.
That's why it has a very scratchy, pencilly look. All the films have a very scratchy, pencilly look when you look at it. I think it's a cool animation style.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it looks almost like hand-drawn rotoscoping. You know what I mean? That's kind of the idea.
Well, I mean, they did do...
And it saved a lot of production time.
Well, and they did do a lot of the same physicality sequences over and over again, like the dance sequences.
They did do that. And they pulled from a lot of their old stuff.
You have the same dance sequence in The Jungle Book, Aristocats, Robin Hood.
Snow White's one of them.
Yeah, Snow White.
It was originally in Snow White. Yeah. Sleeping Beauty has some sequences that are used in other films, and I'm talking they were used in shorts. And
of course, you also know that back then they did a lot of live action reference. They'd actually film actors, typically the voice actors, doing all the stuff, and then
those dance sequences are rotoscoped. Like the Snow White dance sequence is rotoscoped.
The Sleeping
Beauty is rotoscoped. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is legit done like that. But
no, it was Don Bluth was doing a different kind of animation style in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And then he was fired from Disney and did his own Don Bluth films and did
and he made some killer games too. Like the arcade games are killer.
Now I don't know about the games, but I know that
Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, those are Don Bluth. Okay. Yeah, those are fully produced Don Bluth. I saw a Kickstarter in the last couple of years. I think that was started by Don Bluth, and he wanted to bring Dragon's Lair to be an actual feature film.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that'd be great.
Well, I mean, his storytelling was interesting. He did Secret of Nim. He did the All Dogs Go to Heaven movies.
Yeah,
he did the terrible film that is Pebble and the Penguin. I have personal reason to hate that movie.
Okay, I don't know that
much.
I've never seen it.
So much. Also did
it was past. I think it was like in high school when that movie came
I believe he was a part of the American Tail stuff, even though most of that was Spielberg.
I think Bluth might have been head of animation because it's got a very similar animation style. Yeah, but, he may have directed the animation.
But no, I don't necessarily disagree with you on the whole Lion King thing, sir. I think that the story that they tried to place behind it, this is an original Disney story and idea. that does get into that overrated category. I mean, it's a good animated movie and the songs are good. Elton John being involved.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, is it really that good, or are we just falling back on nostalgia with the new one coming out?
I really don't know. That's a really good question to ask. I think personally, as an established story, you can't. That being said, with this, I think personally, as an established story, you're not ever going to ignore it. It's going to be part of film for a long time coming, especially being the fact that it's been on Broadway for years already.
Yeah.
And now they're taking that and
they're
they're making it a feature film. They're redoing it. They're actually re-upping a lot of their films now.
They're
in live action.
they're using the Broadway, some of the Broadway songs that weren't in the original film.
Yeah, and I'll
and
probably go see
versions.
it. Like, especially with the cast that's there. The cast looks absolutely fantastic.
It's some interesting casting, I will say that.
Yeah.
I mean, James Earl Jones back as Mufasa makes sense.
He's kind of irreplaceable, though.
Yeah. I do like the idea of Donald Glover as Simba. I think he's got a very good singing voice, so I think that works.
Yeah.
Sad that they didn't let Matthew Broderick sing in the original. It's not his voice singing. It's actually
no, you're right.
It's John Williams, the composer, John Williams. It's actually his son who used to sing for the band Africa, singing the Simba parts in Lion King.
Well, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Fun little piece. Everybody else, Scar, the guy who played Scar,
Jeremy Irons?
yes.
It's not him.
Yes, it is.
He's singing?
85% of the song is him. The other 15% is actually Jim Cummings.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Winnie the Pooh, right?
Yeah, who had to come in and actually, he blew out his voice trying to sing it. Jeremy Irons did.
Oh.
And so Jim Cummings had to come in and finish it up.
Wow.
There's a few parts that he had to finish up for him because he couldn't do it. Jeremy Irons had ruined his voice trying to do it.
Oh, wow.
But everybody else that's singing in it is them singing.
Wow.
Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella were Broadway performers. So
oh yeah,
they were on sing, which again is funny. Matthew Broderick was too, and yet they don't have him do the singing. That's rather hilarious.
Interesting. I wonder if they were just looking for a different type of voice. That's
maybe
it was some licensing stuff.
There's also the thing to consider is that for a long time singing voices have been overdubbed.
Yeah.
I mean, please tell me you know who Marnie Nixon is.
No. Look
up Marnie Nixon.
Okay.
And for anybody that's older than like 50 that may be listening to this, so like maybe my dad, they will recognize the name Marnie Nixon. Basically, any female performer that did any singing in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s was possibly overdubbed with their singing by Marnie Nixon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in any films. Like even Debbie Reynolds and so this is going back even further, Debbie Reynolds in Singing in the Rain was dubbed by Marnie Nixon, which is hilarious because Debbie Reynolds could sing, but Marnie Nixon was overdubbed over.
Huh.
Yeah. She was like known for doing all the singing parts and everything.
Wow.
Now, of course, when they cast the Disney movies, they make sure to cast people who have singing ability. But like Aladdin, I believe Aladdin, different voice actors with different singers. With the exception, of course, Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin Williams is the only one because you can't really fake him.
You can, but it's done. The second Aladdin movie attempted to fake him. They did a bad job. Couldn't. So he came back in the third after he got his artwork and was apologized to appropriately.
Yeah.
But no, I mean you see it you saw it for a while, and then now it's become more of a people can find this stuff on the internet better.
Yeah.
And they want to hear the real people singing it, even if the real people can't sing well. I mean,
it's kind of part of the experience.
Perfect example. Les Miserables.
Yes.
Les Miserables, the live action Les Miserables. It's like Hugh Jackman. All right, I can believe that. Dude's worked on musical theater. That's where he got his start at. People who know him as the Wolverine, that's not the dude. This is a song and dance dude. So him singing it, no problem. Anne Hathaway, she's like a trained opera singer.
Yeah.
So I get that. I mean, when they did the Phantom of the Opera movie update in like 2004, I think, Anne Hathaway and Emmy Rossum were the two finalists to play Christine Daae, the main role. Oh. And Emmy Rossum won out because I think she had a more open schedule.
Oh, wow.
That's a fun one. Gerard Butler plays the Phantom, and he sings. Gerard Butler sings.
King Leonidas.
He's actually pretty damn good.
Wow. Okay.
He's pretty damn good. I will say this. He is better than Russell Crowe in Les Mis. Russell Crowe in Les Mis is awful. Awful. And Anne Hathaway in Les Mis is amazing. Her voice is perfect for the role that she plays. But have you seen it? Have you seen Les Mis?
Nope. Never any incarnation of Les Mis. I am fully unfamiliar with the story.
Here's what I'm going to say. If you want to be really depressed for 2.5 hours, watch Les Mis.
Watch Les Miserables.
Yes, because it is really. I mean,
that's a little nod to my old roommate Scott.
It's literally. I mean, the title is The Miserables.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the thing
Miserables.
And that's the thing is, it's like the
Miserables, your favorite new sitcom family coming to Fox.
It's literally like the opposite of The Incredibles. They are the Miserables because their life really sucks. And it does. Every part of that movie, the lives of the people in that movie, every part of their lives suck. There's nothing good about it. It's like Mel Brooks was wrong. Mel Brooks was wrong. In History of the World Part 1, when he's at the French Revolution, he says it's good to be the king.
Yeah.
It's not good to be alive in the French Revolution. I don't care if you're the king. Just a bad time in history. Okay. Nobody wants to be around then. Trust me.
All right. I guess that's what this is about then. It's a period piece, I hear.
Les Mis? Yes, yeah. It takes place during the French Revolution.
Didn't know that.
You have some education now.
Yes.
Sir.
Now I have context. I got to check it out.
But yeah, even with that movie, they made sure everybody did their own singing. Mm-hmm. Russell Crowe, awful. And that's what you're getting now more in the animated movies. Lion King, I think, was one of the last ones to not have
replace the voice.
I mean, even Mel Gibson sings in Pocahontas, man.
Does he really?
Interesting side note, Christian Bale has a voice in Pocahontas. He's one of the voice actors.
Oh.
He's one of the colonists.
I bet you he's Thomas.
Yes, he is.
Yep. He would have been like 17.
Around that point. I mean, he got started early with one of his first movies was Empire of the Sun. And that's a Spielberg movie from like the
I don't think I've ever seen
early
Empire
90s.
Of the Sun.
I've never seen it. I'm just somewhat familiar with some of the parts of it. I mean, he's a British kid, I think, in Japan.
Oh, cool.
Missionaries or something. Interestingly, I believe his family, he's Welsh, Christian Bale is, mm-hmm. and I believe his family were circus performers. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, but anyway, to the point.
Yeah, to the point. The Lion King as a story is a lie.
Yes. And Mike feels an overrated film.
Yeah. I think it's overrated as far as what it is. It's just over the case of originality.
I get that.
Everything else about the film seems fine. Just like if we're going by the same guidelines as all of these other films that we're seeing in the list, like that's like there's nothing to state that these films are bad or that they're not enjoyable.
And more importantly, we're not saying that any of these movies are bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying that maybe some of them are bad because there's a few that I do think are bad.
Yeah.
But with most of these, especially the list, as we're reading the list, we're not saying necessarily that they're bad, but they maybe get more hype than what they should have. I mean, I'll give you an example in the food world. And again, this goes back to a discussion we had with one of our first episodes.
Yeah.
And this gets me no love here in the state of California. But In-N-Out Burger is hyped as like the best burger around. And I'm sorry, people, it's just a burger. It is not that good.
Dude, I had In-N-Out last night and I absolutely loved it.
That's great. It's still not that good though. It's just a burger, man. Which burgers are great, but it's not like some transcendent burger that takes you to a different plane of burger love. I'm just saying.
You're going to have to show me an example of a burger that does that.
When I find the right one, I will.
You're still looking.
I've not quite found the burger that takes me to the next plane yet. Although I think I may know where to look, but it's been a long time since I've been to a Nation's Hamburger.
Okay.
And I realized the other day that was like the first hamburger like at a restaurant that I probably ever ate was a Nation's Hamburger. I'm fairly certain.
You know, I was always a fan of, and I don't think if there might be one of those places still up in this area, Jasper's. I always liked Jasper's.
Yeah. I think I've been to one of those before. No, there was a Nation's Hamburger that was actually right next door to the grocery store my dad worked at.
Cool.
And so I have memories of eating there. I have memories of the fact that, as like most kids, I had weird names for things. Mustard was yellow. That's what
It was just called yellow because it was yellow sauce.
Yeah.
It was just yellow.
And I even had my own special name for hamburgers. That's how important they were to me.
What were they?
Uckaboos.
A what?
Uckaboo. Uckaboo.
I don't get it.
I don't know either. I have no idea why the hell I came up with that. But a hamburger
How old
was an
were you?
uckaboo. I would have been probably 2 or 3.
Okay, see, then you're fine.
I was a little kid.
But
Yeah,
you
it's like-
named it. See,
I named it.
You named it. You were just like, this random food on a plate. I don't know what to call this. I'm going to name it right now because I want to be able to remember it. And you were like 2.
Maybe. I can.
So that makes
tell,
it.
tell you what. I will contact my father and get an exact age.
Yeah.
He'll be able to
See,
tell
that
me
makes
more
sense.
Exact,
That makes
exact
sense.
of an age.
The fact that you remember that, though.
Here's the thing.
I think you were constantly just reminded by your
with
parents.
the Uckaboo thing, with the Uckaboo and the yellow thing.
Yeah.
I cannot say that I have the personal memory of this.
Right.
This is something that was told to me by my parents, and I have the memory because my parents have told me that it happened.
Yeah.
I cannot remember sitting at a place calling a hamburger an Uckaboo. I can remember my parents telling me forever that, as far as my memory,
The fact
reaches
that I
back,
have that sentence
I
now.
called that.
The fact that I have that sentence now recorded.
That's all right. It's believe me, it's a family thing. When and if my dad listens to this, he'll be like, yep, Uckaboos all the time. That's
all right,
he ever
so,
wanted.
James.
Yes.
Overrated movies.
Do you ask me if I have one more?
Do you have one?
Yeah.
I mean, getting off the subject, I know we were talking about Uckaboos for a second.
We've mentioned the movie already, kind of.
Okay, so.
But I'm still going to mention the movie. It falls right in line with.
Citizen Kane.
No, it's the movie that's made the most money of all time. Avatar.
Oh?
I think it's completely overrated. It's Fern Gully with blue people. My kid has come up to me and asked me, "Dad, can I watch Fern Gully with blue people?" This is if you're especially basing on your Lion King
I thought it
situation.
was like Blue Pocahontas, but
It's Blue
essentially
Pocahontas. Well, but it's the same. Blue Pocahontas, Blue Dances with Wolves, Blue Fern Gully. It's the same story. But the thing is, people were just, the reason I say this is so overrated is how much money this damn movie made. And really, how much of the movie do you remember?
Yeah,
How much do you want to sit through it again?
I have seen it literally once. I was like, okay.
I mean, let's get over the fact that they use their genitals. What is basically their genitals, the thing they use to exchange DNA, to control all of the animals on the planet.
Wait, what? Hold on. Say what now?
Okay,
the sex organs are what are controlling the animals.
The thing at the back of at the root of their, or at the end of their hair, their ponytails.
Yeah,
that's their sex organ. Basically, that's how they reproduce, is by connecting to other Na'vi. But they also connect those to plants, and they connect them to all the animals that they ride.
I am not going to think any more deeply into that than where my brain is going, and I honestly just want to stop. You've now started a runaway train to hell. Thank you, James. I appreciate
Sorry,
that.
this is what this is the movie.
I never thought about that.
But let's add in the other detail, which I don't know if we've covered in the podcast before, but I've covered with you.
Right.
This is what makes me angry about this movie is the people tout it for the attention to detail, for how detailed and beautiful and lush this world is.
Right.
But here's the problem. Okay?
Yes.
This is going on the basis of you would think there's some kind of evolution within the world, because they talk about how the Na'vi have evolved to be able to communicate to all these creatures in all these ways, and all these things are happening. Every creature that you see on Pandora has 6 limbs.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about this. You've mentioned this before. They only have 4, so technically they're not. They can't be native to the planet.
They should not be native to the planet, because if you look at our planet, yes, we have insects, but that's a whole different file. Not only do they have 6 limbs, but they have segmented bodies. Right? You have the spiders with like 8 legs and other creatures that are like that. You have other creatures that have a bunch of legs, but again, segmented bodies. So they show biological differences. But if you look at the majority of the mammalian species, I wouldn't say the majority, all the mammalian species, we basically have 4 limbs. Even our birds have 4 limbs.
2 wings and 2 legs.
Example would be, another example to throw out are the difference between dragons and wyverns.
I think you've
in
gone over
fantasy.
this with Game of Thrones. That's
Yeah,
why you're like pissed off at the
mentioned this.
dragons, quote unquote, in Game
Because
of
a
Thrones.
dragon is 6-limbed. It has 4 legs and 2 wings. A wyvern has 2 hind legs, and then the front things are basically
Front
arms.
legs are also wings.
Yes, they're arms, legs with wings attached into them.
Gotcha.
Think of a bat.
Yeah.
A bat's wings are actually their arms, and they have little hand things on the end of them.
Yep.
Smaug, the dragon from the Hobbit movies.
He's
which
a wyvern.
You and I talked about the Hobbit movies. He is technically a wyvern because he does not have 4 legs and 2 wings. He's not 6-limbed. He's only 4-limbed, and he has little hand claw things at the points of his wings.
Right.
Therefore, he is a wyvern, not a dragon. Or he could be considered, you could call him, which he's called in the novels, he's called a fire drake.
Oh.
I will accept fire drake as a fantasy fan because technically a drake would fall under the wyvern category as well.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a term that's
Basically, dragon is thrown out pretty commonly.
It's a
to
fire breathing lizard.
Yeah, a fire breathing lizard.
And that's, now keep in mind, that is in Western culture, because in like Eastern culture, in Chinese and Japanese culture,
dragons look completely different,
dragons don't necessarily, they may only be 4-limbed and not have wings at all.
but they'll still fly.
And maybe serpentary. Yes, they fly by a different means, not necessarily by wings.
Right.
So it's a whole, because they're more mystical creatures than they are explained naturally.
For sure.
But again, you look back at Pandora, all these creatures have 6 limbs. The Na'vi only have 4 limbs. It does not seem right for them to evolve in the same ecosystem that way.
Yeah.
Something must be off. Now, again, I told you, I don't know if it's on the podcast, if Cameron comes back with the next 2 movies and shows in some way that the Na'vi were brought there, genetically engineered or done something different with, so that they're not native to Pandora, I'm totally cool with that. But until that, this movie is overrated because it doesn't really build a good universe.
Blue Fern Gullahontas with wolves.
Yes, that's beautiful, sir.
I had to think about that.
Title.
That's what it is. Blue Fern Gullahontas with wolves.
Sure. Title.
All right. It's
And
now recorded.
more importantly, a waste of Giovanni Ribisi. If you get Giovanni Ribisi in your movie, do not waste him by making him a cookie cutter corporate bad guy.
Okay.
Do something more with him.
He deserves the depth.
He really, really does. There's
I can
so
see
many
that.
fun things you can do with Giovanni Ribisi.
You can even give him a bit part, and if he's smartass enough, that he'll still enjoy
Some
it.
of his best parts are smaller parts in movies.
Yeah.
I can tell you who gets the best out of him. Oh God, the Family Guy dude.
MacFarlane?
Yes.
Seth MacFarlane?
When Seth MacFarlane
yeah.
puts him in a movie,
Yeah.
he gets the best out of him. He's in Ted. He is amazing in
Yeah,
Ted.
he is.
He's in the whole the little dance thing he does in Ted. He does that dance again in A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, and he's in that, and he's amazing in that little, fairly small, medium-sized part in that.
Yeah.
He is amazing. Give him a little bit to work with. He'll do beautiful things. Make him a cookie cutter. He does. I mean, he does what all of us do in that, and underperforms.
Yeah.
So my biggest pick, Avatar, totally overrated. Not that good a movie, and probably the saddest thing that happened this year was that Endgame was not able to surpass it. I mean, admittedly, Endgame didn't spend a year and a half in the theater
Right.
to make that much money like Avatar did. But still, Endgame wasn't able to surpass it, so Avatar gets to sit at the top of the hills. Still, I have a hope, though. I have a hope. Rise of Skywalker.
Hope so.
Let's beat it down. Let's destroy Avatar.
What's hilarious is that Disney literally owns all 3 of these franchises.
Yeah, Disney owns all of them now.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
They
it's
just
like,
own all of them. It doesn't matter. Disney still wins.
yeah, basically Disney's like, we don't care. We're still making money. It's all right. And I'm sorry, Endgame, way better movie. Lived up to the hype.
Nice.
Totally lived up to the hype.
Nice.
I know you haven't seen it yet.
Yep. Haven't.
Lived
But
up
that's
to the
okay.
hype.
All right. Well,
Bro Thor is my friend.
Bro Thor. Lebowski.
I guess we're done for the day. That's what Mike's signaling, is that we're done for the day.
Well, we do have quite a bit of time that I have to.
Edit out.
Yeah. Well, not edit out. I mean, we just have to do. I just need to cohesively put everything together.
Yep.
Yep.
For sure.
All right, man.
So if people want to listen to us, how do they find us?
Well, you can find us at our website, thexennialchronicles.com, or if you don't want to type that much, zencron.com. Speaking of Zencron, you can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at Zencron, spelled Xenchron. If you want to listen to us, you can check out the website. We have Facebook videos that have our podcasts out. We have YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube, by the way, hit the subscribe icon or hit the subscribe button at the bottom of the video.
Yes.
Like the video, please, and hit that bell icon so you get notified if YouTube is your main method of listening to us. Also, you can check us out on TuneIn. You can check us out on Spotify. You can check us out on Google Podcast, I believe now is what it is. I believe there's another one, isn't there?
I think you got all of them.
I get all of them? Okay, man. Well,
And please make sure on many of those, like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, you can leave comments.
Yes,
and converse with us.
We do respond.
If comments come up, we will respond. We are more than glad to respond.
Yeah.
We'll answer any questions. We'll be glad to enter into debate. And we're always glad to get any ideas about things you would like for us to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear from you guys and see if, maybe you'd like us to go back and forth on a subject that we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, fun. Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.